Okay, buddy. Hey, welcome to Monday. It is the 16th of September. Hope y'all had a great weekend. And last week, at least Friday, we ended up on a good note. The markets did. We'll see what can happen today as we head into this week, where interest rates are on everybody's mind to see what's going to happen at the Fed. Hey, before we let Dave join in here in just a few seconds, let's not forget that in this world we live in, there are so many things that are out of our control. However, you can take control of your portfolio by knowing the amount of risk that you have and making sure that it really lines up with where you should be in your current circumstances. Give me a call at 863-382-0037. Schedule your core retirement analysis. Hey, with that, we got Dave coming up next.
FM, Billy Idol there. It's 8:40 now, 20 before 9. I'm Morning Dave, and this is the time of the morning where we always check in and see what Wall Street's doing on any given day. Been kind of interesting last week. Let's check in with Phillip Statler at Statler Financial Services and see what his take is on things. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Dave. Had a great weekend and glad to be back in the office this morning. You know, yesterday or Friday, rather, was a really good day. The question is, can we continue on that momentum that we saw for the weekend?
That'd be kind of nice. I mean, it was the best week of the year so far. NASDAQ was up to have its best week of the year, up 6%. Standard & Poor's was up 4% for the week. I mean, you know, you'd think happy days were here again, even with a couple of minor misses on the inflation readings that we had last week.
Yeah, it was a good week when we look at the numbers, and you know, even Nvidia had a nice little jump back last week. I think I saw that they were up like 16% last week. So, you know, everybody seems to be heading in the right direction, at least last week. The question will be, can we continue that today and throughout this week as we wait on the Fed to kind of give us an interest rate reading? Are they going to cut a quarter? Are they going to cut a half? What are they going to do?
Yeah, it's almost a definite we're going to get an interest rate cut when they report. The meeting is tomorrow and Wednesday. And then at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, everybody's going to be watching it. It's one of those days we can almost guarantee a seismograph no matter what they end up doing on the market charts. We were talking before we went on the air, and this is something you and I both are kind of scratching our heads about. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange puts out the odds of what's going to happen with a Federal Reserve rate cut. And right now, we're at about a 49% chance of a full half-point rate cut. Now, that's still over 50% for a quarter-point cut, but we're getting dangerously close to the 50-50 number. And you and I were kind of looking at it, wondering what would happen if they did a half-point cut. And it could go either way. I mean, my bet is the NASDAQ stocks and the Russell 2000 being more interest sensitive would skyrocket, but the blue chips on the S&P and the Dow, they may very well react negatively to the concept of a bigger interest rate cut.
Oh, they could. I mean, the other thing you have to remember now, at least you know, looking at some of the talking heads out there, is that you know, if they did do a half a point, the indication is that maybe things are worse than what we think they are, which would maybe spin the whole market out of control.
Bingo.
Downward. And I found it interesting that this weekend, watching you know, Fox News and type like that, they were like, you know, they were really criticizing the Fed that they would even consider. Kind of your take. Why would you even consider lowering interest rates before an election? That's just so political that shouldn't even be done.
And that's been something that I've been kind of standing on for a while. Okay, fine. It's hitting the necessity point with the job market getting as hinky as it's gotten. It's hitting the necessity point where they have to do something. But I'm still going to stand on my notion that 49 is a gross overestimate, only on the grounds that I don't think in the history of this nation there's ever been a Federal Reserve chair with the gonads to do something that theatrically large, which it would be, right in the middle of a presidential election. Because one thing's for sure, if we drop the thing by a half a point, one thing that would go on is the mortgage market would suddenly go absolutely crazy, because a half a point drop on a mortgage rate, That would open up a lot of pent-up demand. And yeah, it'd be good for the economy short term, even though, like you said, it could go either way on Wall Street. But it would definitely be a boost for the economy, kind of like adding a little extra heroin into an addict. And I don't think the Fed's got the guts to do that.
I hope not. Let's just put it that way. I hope they don't. I hope maybe we get 0.25%. But the other thing are there enough people on the committee to say, you know what, we don't want to be political either. This would be historic if we did this. Maybe we wait until the November meeting to start that process.
And that was kind of where my bet has been all along. Yes, it's time to start, quote and unquote, renormalizing the rates, which who the heck knows what normal is anymore, but at the very least to go drop them by a little bit, but do it outside of the political theater. We've got not a disastrously bad unemployment market, but yes, it is a little hinky. We haven't gotten down to the 2% inflation yet. On paper, there isn't really a reason to go down 0.5 point. That really perversely weird week we had about 4 weeks ago notwithstanding, let's keep shooting for the soft landing instead of communicating, because you got to remember that an interest rate change from the Fed is also a communication as well as an economic measure.
That's right, and that's an indication of what they think the economy is doing, and if you think of it, if they lower interest rates, then that means the economy maybe is slowing down, which, from a you and I standpoint, every human being out there, that may not be a good thing, right? That may impact us even more than even inflation might.
The psychological element of anything that they do also can outrank the economic element too. My bet still remains on 0.25 point, and like I said, I'm downgrading the 50-50 chance of a 50% of a 50-point cut just on the grounds that I cannot see them doing it in the middle of a political season. Something may change tomorrow. About the only report of any grandiose value that's coming out economically this week is we are going to get a retail sales report tomorrow. Now, remember, July was a pleasant surprise upward. So we may get a report tomorrow that corrects July and maybe is a little softer than expected. I mean, my retail advertising clients around here have said it's been a little softer first half of the year than they'd like. We may end up seeing the national reflection of that as well coming up tomorrow, and that might add a little fuel to the fire one way or the other onto the Fed meeting.
It could, and I would just tell you, at least the expectations that I'm seeing on my board is that it should be down. They expect retail sales to be down about 0.3%. So it'll be interesting to see what that number actually does come in at. I mean, I know that the Empire State Manufacturing Survey was a surprise this morning because it was expected to go down 5, and it actually went up. I think I saw on CNBC, it went up 11.
That is a surprise. Yeah, your expectation of it going down, it kind of follow the pattern because we've been decline, increase, with a big pleasant surprise increase of 1% last month. It would make some sense to see it go down a little bit following the year's pattern so far.
Yeah, it would. And, we'll just wait to see. We got that coming out. We got housing starts on Wednesday and permits on Wednesday, as well as then, Wednesday afternoon, the big old, interest rate decision will come across the board, and then not much else. And we get existing home sales late morning on Thursday, other than jobs. That's about it this week.
Yeah, it's that time of the week, time of the month at which we're relatively quiet. I did note an item on my news ticker this morning. Wall Street's economists are starting to cut third quarter earnings estimates, our expectations for the next earnings season that we're going to start getting reports on in about a month. They're expecting those to be a little bit more conservative than they were in the expectations for this quarter. That tends toward indicating, again, slowing economy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, we're seeing that. I don't know. I mean, I think that a lot of us, if you're out and about, you're seeing that, right? I mean, you go to a restaurant, there's just not as many people in the restaurants as you would anticipate in September. And so, and we were, Joyce and I were over on the coast for the weekend, and same thing over there. And we went to the restaurant Friday night, Saturday night, and it was not full, Dave. It was maybe half full.
Yeah,
So to me, that's an indication that people are holding back and don't have the money to spend.
yeah, disposable income is not what the economists say it is, or at the very least, we're hanging on to a little lot more. That's why one of my periodic rants over the notion of the politicians talking about corporate gouging and record profits. I mean, the S&P's profits were down for almost all last year. For the last 2 quarters, we're actually seeing increases in profits for the first time in over a year. Wait a minute, I'm not really hearing greedy corporate honchos on most of the S&P 500 at this point.
That's right. And so I think everybody is feeling the crunch at this point. And it's not a great day like some political parties want us to believe.
Yeah, the halcyon times have not quite come back yet. Resetting the table, Friday was a heck of a good day. Dow was up by 297 points. The Standard & Poor's was up by 30 and a change. And the NASDAQ was up by 114. Good way to set a new best week of the year so far. 45 minutes before we open this morning, what are we looking at?
Right now, the futures are a little bit mixed, Dave. The Dow 30 is up almost 0.2%, but everything else is red. The S&P 500 is down a little over 0.1%, and the NASDAQ 100 is down 0.5% this morning before we get trading. On the other side, we've got silver up a little over 0.6%. It's made a huge jump, I guess, since Thursday. Up to $31.28 an ounce. So some pretty big jumps there. Gold is down 0.1% this morning. Crude oil up 1.3%, but still below 70 at $68.64 a barrel.
May it continue long enough for me to gas up this week. Looking across the ponds, the Asian Rim was, it's a tale of 2 markets again. The mainland Chinese markets, both off this morning. Chinese economy is really, really soft. Everybody else was up fractionally at 6 a.m. European markets looking at our futures and saying, let's wait and see for a couple of minutes. The overall indexes are red, but we're only talking about 0.1% down, halfway through their trading day in the European community. Getting a plan for retirement, buying high, selling low always is the opposite of what you got in mind, and sometimes you just can't avoid it unless you got a plan. How do I get you to get a retirement plan together for me?
Dave, that's why I developed the core retirement design to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of. Give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
Yep, buying high and selling low. That's what I did when I was buying radio stations. That's why I'm still working. I'll see you tomorrow, my friend. Have a good day.
Man. Have a good one.
Thanks. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us. Hope you had a great weekend. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, have a great day. Bye now.